All right, let's get to two cases now. First, we'll start in the Capital District up in Albany, where the Court of Appeals struck down an anti-cyberbullying law out of Albany County. Divided court says the law's broad language violates the First Amendment. Now, the court ruled 5-2 that while criminal laws against cyberbullying against minors is not usually illegal, the law criminalized protected speech. Now, this all comes around the case of a 15-year-old boy who became the first person charged under the law. He was accused of posting pictures of other teens online with really offensive remarks about him. The comments sexual in nature, telling complete outright lies about the kids, very damaging stuff, or at least hurtful stuff. In fact, the court even said as much. Now, he or his attorney argued the law was unconstitutional, and the judge originally disagreed and sentenced him to 3 years probation. At the end of the day, though, the court said, listen, it's vile, it's disgusting, but you know what? It's free speech. Can you guys explain where the line starts and stops from harassment to ugly but yet protected free speech, and where does the distinction between being a minor and being an adult start and stop?
Harassment is communications directed at the person. I'm harassing you. Whereas protected speech is I am putting speech, I'm saying something, I'm saying it out there to the world, I'm posting it out there, and as ugly and as vile as my opinion can be, that is protected speech. Whereas harassment, But
I'd argue that harassment, in the legal definition you gave, isn't as bad as going to a public forum and spreading mistruths and hurtful comments about the person. If you're coming at me, depending on the person, I can have it back and forth with you. But if you're sharing with the world stuff, where do I go, as that famous line came, to get my reputation back?
Well, you can sue civilly for defamation and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, you're right, one might be preferable to the other, but the Constitution protects one and criminalizes the other. And that's
But I can't cry fire in a crowded theater.
No.
So why can I lie outright and slander somebody and it just be, not just, but be a civil penalty potentially? And again, we're talking about a 15-year-old here, so then I guess we've got to go with the parents, but help me out with that.
It's the immediacy. If you go into a theater and you yell out fire, people are going to panic, they're going to try to run out, people are going to be trampled, some people are going to be injured, some may die. So that's why you can't do that. With respect to this, it's possible that no one's going to see it. Number one, you're posting it on whatever, Facebook or whatever social media. Who's really seeing it? So the publication there, even the publication alone, if it's on CNN and 1 million people see it, there's no harm, immediate harm of physical danger, no threat of physical danger, injury, or anybody getting hurt. Now, with respect to the parents, it's a whole other issue, because now you're talking about people being held civilly responsible. Possibly even some of these statutes suggest there should be criminal liability for the parents based on things that their teenage kids, or sometimes kids that are younger than teenagers, do. And I have an issue with that, because the parents aren't responsible, they're not sanctioning this, they don't know, unless you can show the parents are sanctioning it. If the parents say, yeah, go ahead and post that, then they should be held liable.
And to me, I remember the Tyler Clementi case, okay? We weren't talking about 15-year-old kids there, we're talking about college kids, right? And he posted an actual consensual, surreptitiously, but event between the guy and his boyfriend or whatever. That, to me, isn't even as bad as what this guy's doing. He's creating, I mean, that was terrible, I'm not minimizing it, but this, sending photos out, telling complete untruths here, saying awful things about the person, I don't know. I just think it's a little confusing with all the attention on bullying right now and the dangers of it, that now the court's saying, well, some of it's protected speech and some of it's harassment, and kind of we'll figure it out as we go along. And I know it's oversimplified, but I think to a lot of us out there, we don't know where the line is.
But just remember, you are talking about the First Amendment. You're talking about a constitutional right. And there's a lot of things that are done in free speech, but you're really protecting the constitutional right. You're not really protecting a bully's right to bully somebody.
Okay. Well, if we want to talk about a bully, this is a different version, I grant you. But we go to California, where a family is dealing with a so-called nanny from hell. Just imagine this one. Diane Stretton was hired to cook, clean, and care for a couple's 3 children. And in exchange, she got free room and board at the home, and payment, obviously. The wife says one day, apparently about a month into the arrangement, Stretton said, nah, don't feel like working anymore. And you know what? I'm just going to stay in my room. Where she promptly went behind the door and then locked it. Police say, civil matter, they can't do anything about it. Once you've established residency in California, you have to go through a formal eviction process, which can last many, many months here. It looks like this thing's going to be resolved. She's going to be out, pretty much any day. But I mean, I remember it was Pacific Heights, where Keaton was in the movie, Michael Keaton, whatever, talk about a nightmare tenant. But oh my God, you can do that?
I can't imagine why you can do that. If you can do it, the law is wrong as far as I'm concerned.
You know how long it took me to get mail out of my house? I mean, my God. Yeah.
She's in there pursuant to an employment contract. She quits and somehow still has this residual right to stay in their house. And
she tried.
Where are we talking about?
She tried to tell the
them?
family they couldn't be in the house between 8 and 8 p because that was her time. She put a lock on the fridge. I mean, oi.
I'm coming back, Richard. I'm coming back.
I tell you. I changed the locks.
Absolutely.
The reality of this is it's a really dangerous situation.
Yeah.
When you think about it. You're leaving two people, I mean, that are each other's throats. I'm surprised they don't have a restraining order to get somebody out.
Well, you know, that's a good point, because if the husband and wife had an argument, there could be a restraining order that tells the husband, you've got to get out, you can't come back, go find a place to live. Don't contact her. Here you have a nanny who's saying, look, I'm not working, I'm just going to stay here, lock in the refrigerator, I'm using the pool, that's it. You don't come by the way, until, you know, I'm ready for you to come home. You'd think they should be able to get at least a restraining order saying, listen, you've got to,
you've got to get out. You think they should be able to get her out and get the restraining order.
But in the meantime, that should get her out.
Just think for a second. We're going to take a break. How many conversations around dining room tables where she's, you're going to check the arrangement here. I don't want this happening at our house. We probably know some of those folks. Okay. Coming up next, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm going to show you some of the stupidest criminals you've ever met here, and I'm going to ask these guys, pound for pound, which is the dumbest. You'll hear their stories and the panel after this.